For a close-up look at all your Concho Valley High School football, this is Inside the Game, sponsored by Mitchell Automotive Group.
Welcome to Inside the Game. I'm your host, Jaden Hart. It's week 2 of the Texas high school football season. There was plenty unexpected outcomes from around the Concho Valley tonight, but first, we'll start with a battle of top 5 teams in their respective classifications. The Cisco Lobos versus the Wall Hawks. Both started out with week 1 wins and doing what they did best, running the football. The Hawks gained 404 yards on the ground, highlighted by Chase Rios, 164 yards and 4 touchdowns on just 5 carries. The Lobos picked up 414 yards, most coming from quarterback Hunter Long, who had 316 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns. This matchup has a history of close games. Just last season, the Hawks won 20-13, scoring a go-ahead touchdown in the 4th quarter. Would we see more of the same? Well, let's find out. Wall has won 4 of the past 5 meetings these two teams have played. First quarter, Hawks driving. Drew Morrison loses it, and the Cisco Lobos recover the football, which would set this up. They take advantage of the turnover, and Gerard Fisher breaks through the tackles in the middle. One man to beat, and he will find pay dirt. Cisco jumps out to a 7-0 lead. Let's go to the end of the first. Wall driving. Drew Morrison keeps it. That was a 4th and pretty much they needed it. 4th down, they got it. They scored a touchdown. It was 8-7. So here's Wall down 14-8 in the 2nd quarter. Right before the half, Drew Morrison gets inside the 10-yard line, but he wasn't able to score. But the Hawks came out and made adjustments in the 2nd half and would go on to score 4 unanswered touchdowns and go on to get the big win over the Cisco Lobos, 35-14. For more on tonight's game, here's Rachel Turnock.
Thanks, Jaden. Yeah, the Hawks just came storming back in the 2nd half as they didn't want to lose at home against Cisco. And joining me now is Wall head coach Houston Guy. Coach, you guys had 27 unanswered points in the 2nd half, and you just shut down Cisco. Just what was the huge difference between the 1st half and the 2nd half, would you say?
I think the 1st half we left some points on the field with, we dropped this one ball that, we had a turnover, and then a couple of missed assignments. I think we had some drives that stalled out that probably should have been touchdowns if we could go back and redo those. We felt like we left the field with 2 touchdowns, or missing 2 touchdowns. Come in the 2nd half, I knew if we played great defense, like we did the 1st half, we could move the ball on again. We just needed to finish those drives and put those in the end zone. And we, come in at halftime, talk to our offensive linemen. They tell us where they're lined up, what they think we can run inside, what they think we can block, and we come out and we just attack them with those plays, and they did a fantastic job.
Do you think Cisco might have had a moment of panic where when you guys just really gained momentum on them, they just didn't know how to respond to that?
I think when we scored our 2nd touchdown, and I felt like the momentum was turning at that point in time. I felt like we were dominating the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball, and so I felt it was just a matter of time for us to finish it. And it took this, late into the 2nd half for us to do that, but I felt like we did that mainly because of how physical we were inside.
One thing we have talked about for the past couple months, and then even tonight we talked about it, was just the fact that you guys finally got to play on this brand new, fresh-looking turf. You finally got to beat it up a little bit. Just how nice was that?
It's one of those things we've been, they decided last spring to put it in, so we've been anxiously awaiting, and we knew this first game was going to be a big game for us with Cisco, and we thought, we want to play good when we're playing at home on this, especially this opening game on this new turf, and so, what better way to start off with a win against Cisco? It's a tough program. They're very physical, and so, we knew coming in it was going to be a very good ball game, and so we just wanted to make sure we finish it off, give our fans a good performance, and perform like we could.
And you got San Antonio Cornerstone Christian coming in here next week. Not a very familiar opponent, but what do you know about them?
I know they're scary good, and they're very physical. They're very fast. They're going to have some very talented athletes on the field. Probably the most talented team that's probably ever played here as an opponent, and so they'll be fun to watch.
Talented next to you guys, though. Hopefully, we'll see. That game will be next week.
You're right. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Coach. We really appreciate it. Hawks get the win tonight against Cisco to open up 2-0 at 2-0 on the season. Jaden, back to you in the studio.
This update sponsored by Bug Express.
On to the Lakeview Chiefs. They dominated Lamesa 35-8 last week, giving them back-to-back wins to start the season for the first time since 1999. This week, they were on the road taking on the Pecos Eagles. It's the first time the two programs had played since 1997. Back then, the Chiefs won by 1 point, and that made it their 5th consecutive win over the Eagles. So, could they keep with that 90s theme of getting wins? Let's see how they did. Lakeview does get the win. They made a fourth quarter comeback. The Chiefs on the road, big time, 44-41 win over a Pecos Eagles program that many people were expecting to be competitive this season and had a lot of returners from a 7-5 team that had also snapped a playoff streak. But Lakeview, they get back-to-back wins for the second year in a row. They were supposed to play Sweetwater, but hey, we'll get to that in a second. After the game, we caught up with head coach Hector Guevara, and here's what he had to say.
Our kids battled back going into half. We gave up some big scores, and then coming out of half, we knew we had to step up defensively, and the kids did a good job, and we executed quite well on offense, and we just kept battling, and we knew we had a chance if we could just create some drives and punch it in.
So right off the bat, 2 big wins for 2 of our area teams. We'll start with the Wall Hawks. That matchup was built as one of the best games in the state this week. A lot of people were looking forward to that matchup. 2 teams ranked in the top 5 in Dave Campbell and the AP poll. 4th-ranked Cisco, 4th-ranked Wall. Always close, and it looked like at the beginning of that game that Cisco was going to make it another one of those games where it's close. Their defense came out and forced that turnover, but the Hawks made those adjustments at halftime, and it looked like a vintage Wall Hawks football team going out there and forcing that shutout in the second half, defensively doing what it needed to do, and then on the offensive side, pounding the rock, getting those 4 unanswered touchdowns. So big win for them. They'll be back at home this upcoming week to face San Antonio Cornerstone Christian. And then how about the Lakeview Chiefs? Can we just talk about how impressive it is? Because they were down in that football game for a lot of it. At least when I was checking it, Lakeview comes back, gets the win, back-to-back victories, and this is the second year in a row, as I said. So they were supposed to play Sweetwater at home next week. Sweetwater had a run-in with the coronavirus, and for those reasons, that game will not be played. Lakeview is actively looking for another opponent, though, so stay tuned to KSAN News and other outlets, and we will have that game for you next week. But we're just getting started. There were other games that stood out on this week's schedule. Coming up, see how the others went. Ozona against Wink, and in 6-man, Sterling City and Eden were both taking on top 10 teams on the road. That when we come back.
It's the 4-day Labor Day sale at Ashley Home Store. Hurry in this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for free delivery plus up to 50% off store-wide or 60 months free financing. Like this 5-piece dining set, only $548. Reclining sofa, only $598. Only at Ashley Home Store.
When it's hot outside, a Superior Services truck in the neighborhood means it's cool inside. Homeowners know the importance of having a Superior Services maintenance plan because proper maintenance saves you money on utility bills. At Superior Services, we consider homeowners and businesses essential all over the Concho Valley. They even have 24-hour emergency service. So enjoy the summer. And to see a Superior Services truck in your neighborhood, call 658-COOL.
Concho Valley Homepage isn't just a website or an app in San Angelo. It's your connection to everything in the Concho Valley. From Wall to Cristoval, Miles to Great Creek, people turn to Concho Valley Homepage over 1 million times. With webcasts, push alerts, and website exclusives, all completely free, behind 0 paywalls. ConchoValleyHomepage.com isn't just news for San Angelo. It's keeping you connected to the Concho Valley.
I'll see you later, okay.
So Dr. Pooey is the best of the leukemia doctors at St. Jude. We very quickly found out how much he loves his patients. One of our first visits with Dr. Pooey, he was kind of running through the protocol and naming off all the medications. And he said, but don't worry, you don't pay that, St. Jude pays that. Just to think, and what if they didn't?
It's the 4-day Labor Day sale at Ashley Home Store. Hurry in this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for free delivery plus up to 50% off store-wide or 60 months free financing. Like this 5-piece dining set, only $548. Reclining sofa, only $598. Only at Ashley Home Store.
Ozona head coach Jared Taylor picked up his first win of his head coaching career last week, and fittingly, it was also the Lions' first win over rival Sonora since 2010. Excuse me, messed up there. This week, they had a chance to knock off a top 5 team on the road against the 5th-ranked Wink Wildcats. Ozona looking to move to 2-0 on the year. This game was full of lots of turnovers early. First drive, Ozona punting after a 3-and-out, and keep an eye on where it lands. It bounces off the player for Wink, and Matthew De La Garza recovers it for Ozona, and the Lions are in business. And then on the ensuing drive, Ozona trying to capitalize on the good field possession. Jose Munoz on the screen pass, and he coughs it up. The Wildcats pounce on it. Another costly turnover for one of the teens. It was a turnover party. Wink's first play from scrimmage. Cannon Gibson hits his receiver over the middle, and then Joe Perez forces another fumble. This was a low-scoring game early, and sadly, Wink would eventually get things going in the second half offensively, and they come away with the win tonight, 35-19. Over to 2 of the bigger 6-man games tonight. They were between Sterling City and the 7th-ranked May Tigers and the Eden Bulldogs and the Lakey Eagles. Sterling City was down early. They were playing May, who many people thought this game was going to come down to size versus speed because both had plenty of depth returning. And as you can see, the Sterling City Eagles fought their way back and get a huge win going into what will be a tough non-district schedule because they have plenty of those games coming up, like Borden County down the road. And then Eden. They were taking on Lakey, and last season, Lakey dominated this matchup, and it looks like, again, 64-14, Eden loses, but they will have to turn things around quickly because next week they face Ira at home, and their non-district schedule will not get any easier because eventually them and Sterling City will face off. So 2 big games out of 6-man, and those are the results. Let's move over to the Ballinger Bearcats, hosting the Breckenridge Buckaroos. This one out at Bearcat Stadium, opening possession for Breckenridge. The snap is mishandled, and Ballinger gets an early turned over. Adam Wynn, this is a guy you got to keep your eyes on all year. This guy on offense and defense gets it done. Ballinger in business, ensuing possession. Bearcats driving. Weston Rolowitz takes the reverse round the corner and picks up the 1st and goal, but Ballinger was unable to, they would be able to punch it in. That's Garrett Dixon there on the very next play. So 7-zip Ballinger trying to add more. Connor Arnott's pass is intercepted over the middle by Damian Mendez, but the Buckaroos would not turn it into any points, and Ballinger keeps them off the scoreboard as the Bearcats get the shutout, 13-0. Let's check out some other scores in their district. Sonora was playing Llano tonight, and Sonora did fall in that game. I can't tell you the final score because it's not in there, but I can tell you Llano would go on to win that game. And then Brady and Comanche, this one was billed as a big game. Comanche would come away with the win tonight against Brady. Brady now drops to 1-1 on the season. And then in Class 3A, 2A, whatever you want to call it, it's Mason and 2A Division I. The Punchers, back-to-back losses to start the season. And this hasn't happened, folks, since 1997. So big loss for the Punchers because now they have to prepare to go back home, and they're welcoming in that San Saba squad that beat up on El Dorado so handedly last week, and they're the 7th-ranked team in the state, so they have that to look forward to. Coach McLeod and the Punchers are going to have to turn things around quickly. So what are our takeaways from there? The Bearcats should have beaten up on Breckenridge probably a little bit more, but they sneak away with the win, and that's big time for the Bearcats because there's such high expectations for that team this season. We'll see what they have going forward. And then in the six-man world, Sterling City getting that win was big also. Coming up, though, we're just getting started. Christoval and Grape Creek faced off tonight, along with TLCA and Junction. We'll have highlights from those games coming up next.
You're watching Inside the Game.
'Buy more, save more. During the 4-day Super Labor Day sale at Furniture Row, save $100 on every $1,000 you spend, plus 7 years no interest financing and free shipping. But hurry, the 4-day Super Labor Day sale at Furniture Row ends Monday.
Fence is rodeo tough.
It's time again for Teacher of the Week, sponsored by Concho Educators Federal Credit Union. Go to ConchoValleyHomepage.com and tell us how your teacher goes above and beyond. They could win great prizes, including a plaque from Angelo Awards, a teacher appreciation bag from Concho Educators, a flower bouquet from Southwest Florist, a delicious cake from City Cafe and Bakery, and a gift certificate from Olive Garden. Teacher of the Week is sponsored by Concho Educators Federal Credit Union. Go to ConchoValleyHomepage.com for more info.
I want to tell you about a leading cause of blindness, wet age-related macular degeneration, or wet AMD. And it's not just a normal part of aging. It took away my mother's ability to read, play bridge, even recognize faces. As her vision slipped away, so did her independence. But now, there are treatments that weren't available to my mom. To learn more about symptoms and treatment options, visit looktoyourfuture.com.
It's the 4-day Super Labor Day sale at Denver Mattress. Right now, save up to $200 on Purple mattress and accessory bundles, plus 7 years no interest and free shipping. Hurry, the 4-day Super Labor Day sale ends Monday.
Last week, all 5 of our District 14 2A Division II Concho Valley's teams lost. The favorites in that district is the Christoval Cougars. They played Wink, and despite the Cougars leading at halftime, they wouldn't be able to hold pace with Wink in the second half, and they were shut down, especially their playmaker, quarterback Braden Wilcox. So how would they respond? On the road against Grape Creek. In the first quarter, no Braden Wilcox. Instead, it's Kyle Loatman, and he finds Bo Jolly, and he's swarmed by a group of Eagles. Safety, Grape Creek on top, 2-0. Ensuing possession, Raymond Serrata on the direct snap finds the edge, and he would find the end zone. How about that? Grape Creek ahead 10-0 after the made 2-point conversion. But in the second quarter, Wilcox is back in at QB, and the Cougars got things going. There's Josh Faba for the easy touchdown. Grape Creek did lead 10-7 at halftime, but the Cougars overcame the slow start, and they get the win tonight, 23-18. How about the El Dorado Eagles hosting winners, the Blizzards, one of my favorite mascots. And this one was all El Dorado. First quarter, Corbin Covarrubias drops back and finds Cooper Metter over the middle, and he finds the end zone. El Dorado up 10-0, but they were not done. Later in the quarter, Covarrubias rolling around. He says that he likes to compare himself to Pat Mahomes, and in this play, he looks like Pat Mahomes. Finding Metter again in the end zone. Eagles up 17-0. Now let's go to the second quarter. The defense gets involved. Winters fumbling the ball, and after a scrum, El Dorado comes up with it, and they would go on to get a convincing win tonight, 51-19 for head coach John Long's first win with the team, and we caught up with him after the game.
We had a good week of practice, That's kind of what I challenged our kids with, after last week, what didn't go our way, of course, and, they fought back, and we had a good week of practice and doing things right, how they're coached to do, and just making, and, we had some big plays that kind of helped us get some momentum and a little confidence and things like that. So was just real happy, with their effort, really, especially compared to last week.
Let's go to TLCA taking on the Junction Eagles. Battle of the Eagles, both looking for their first wins of the season. Coach Jones for TLCA talked about playing fast when he took over as head coach. And how about this? A little double reverse trickery. And eventually it's caught by Kelby Thomas, who scores for TLCA on the first play from scrimmage, 6-0 after the block PAT. How could Junction respond? Or better, how would they respond? Next possession for them, Chance Condero finds Will Castleberry and no one around him. Touchdown Eagles. Junction Eagles, that is. They take a 7-6 lead, and then 47 seconds left in the first. Junction again threatening, and that's Isaiah Gonzalez who dives into the end zone. Junction led 14-6 at that point and would go on to bounce back to get a win of 40-13. Miles hosting Coahoma, Battle of the Bulldogs. We just had the Battle of the Eagles, so let's do it again. Coahoma already leading 7-0, looking for more. Colt Redden throws a dime to Sean Stringer in the end zone. 14-0 lead for Coahoma in the first. And then just before the end of the quarter, Coahoma threatening again. Redding hands off to Bryson Kirby up the middle, and he punches it in for another touchdown for the Bulldogs. They gave them a 21-0 lead, and they kept the foot on the gas. In the second quarter, Kirby takes it in for a second touchdown of the game. Coahoma would dominate this game. They led 28-0 at that point and would go on to get a very convincing 49-0 win over the Miles Bulldogs. And our last team in that district, McCamey, hosting Menard. Badgers defense on towards the start of the second quarter. That's Caleb Johnson with the sack, and that would be a turnover. Later, let's go to Ivan Rubios. He hits Rodriguez, who runs down the right line of the field all the way to the house. Badgers, take a 35-6 lead after the extra point. That was a strong showing from McCamey in their first game of the season, because they would go on to handedly get a win over the Menard Yellow Jackets, 56-6. We're nearing the final stretch, but we still got some more teams to get to. Coming up, we'll check in on the world of six-man. Erie County and Robert Lee played, and Blackwell was trying to shake things off in its Week 1 loss. But before we do that, let's take a look at this week's Fan Cam.
Inside the Game is provided by Chick-fil-A.
Hi, I'm Mike with MGB, Mike's Gold Buyers. Gold and silver prices are terrific, which means more money for your gold, silver, and diamonds. Come to MGB and you'll say,
I sold gold and I like Mike.
On Avenue N by Angelo State.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. Attention cancer victims who use the weed killer Roundup. A federal jury unanimously found that Monsanto's popular weed killer Roundup was a substantial factor in causing cancer. You may be entitled to financial compensation. If you or a loved one used Roundup weed killer and were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, call the number on your screen now. The World Health Organization has designated glyphosate, the main ingredient in Roundup weed killer, a probable human carcinogen. Thousands of agricultural workers may have been exposed to serious health risks by using this product. You may be owed significant compensation from the manufacturer. Call now to find out if you qualify. If you or someone you loved used Roundup and were diagnosed with cancer, call the number on your screen now. Don't wait. There are time deadlines to file a claim.
Call 1-800-338-9694.
amazing what 1 year of time will do. At this time last season, the narrative surrounding the Erie County Hornets was how they were playing their first season of six-man football, and that's changed quickly. Now they're viewed as a threat and a program that has emerged as one of the best in West Texas. Last week, they 45'd Panther Creek on the road. This week, taking on Robert Lee. The Steers would strike first in this one. Some good blocking by Robert Lee allows Ivan Escamilla to take the corner, and the Steers had an 8-0 lead at that point. But Erie County did respond. Jordan Harrison had a big run to set this up, and that would punch him in for 6. The Hornets would go on to cruise and 45 them tonight, 67-8. Let's go over to another six-man game. Very Best hosting Zephyr. This one would end up going Very Best way, but Zephyr from the very first play scoring that touchdown. And how about that? Very Best, it was their season opener. We're having to go quick, and they would go on to get that win, 42-32. Some other scores in six-man tonight. Blackwell, the 6th-ranked Hornets, bounced back after that loss last week, 62-14. Brunt getting their first win of the season over Panther Creek, 53-6. Well, we appreciate you tuning in to Inside the Game. It was a hectic night for us. We apologize if there were any inconveniences and not providing you with the best possible quality of show that we could. But we promise to be 1% better next week, and I thank you for watching. Until then, I'm Jaden Hart with Inside the Game.
Inside the Game is sponsored by Mitchell Automotive Group.